Thank you, Carly. Appreciate you showing up. See, we got 8 people on right now. 3 on Facebook. Got some on YouTube. Got some on X. We got 2 on YouTube. 6 on Facebook. Where are all my X people at? Am I even live on X right now? Let's see. I'm gonna find out. I am live on X right now. Well, I'm supposed to be live on TikTok too. Not TikTok, Instagram. I'll turn this music down in a minute. We'll get going. So today, what's up, Mama? I see you in here. Hello, Mama. We're going to turn this music down a little bit. Now we're going to talk about, I'm going to leave it around 10. Now, I love having a little tempo music, chill music in the background for what when I talk and when I do things. If for some reason you aren't able to hear me and the mic isn't picking up for whatever reason, you got to let me know in the comments section, because sometimes I just get to rambling on and get to talking and don't realize that there's an issue or something going on. Now, I don't plan on being in here all night tonight, and man, I didn't even plan on doing this today. But I'll tell you what, let me actually turn this down just a little bit more. I have to bring it to your attention, especially to the people here in East Texas, what's going on right in your own backyard. And it's not just what's going on in the backyard with me. It's what's happening with attorneys. It's what's happening with business owners. And this week, I finally not only put it into court today, but I reached out to Longview Police Department and made a report. Now, I'm going to be taking that report and putting it on my website, realryannichols.com. And I've just been really careful about how I wanted to craft this, because I wanted to make sure that when I presented it to you, I presented it with the facts. And tonight I have some more facts that I want to go over. And one of those is the motion that I put into court today. And it was a response to Bo Rogers, who put a motion into court today and offered to, or made the proffer to the court to withdraw as my counsel. And earlier during the week, I sent a message to Bo and responded to him and told him that I objected to him withdrawing. And not only did I object, but there would need to be a hearing. He asked me, did we need to have a hearing set? And I don't think that they expected me to say, yes, I do want a hearing. Because at some point you get tired of getting messed around. At some point you get tired of people that just because they hold certain positions of business or power at the courts, or your only attorney that you have access to get something done, and they'll hold that over your head, take your money, and drop you as a client, as they did me, and as Bo did me, and they did Amanda. And not just us. I'm getting messages from many other people that this is happening to, which is why I felt compelled not just to go find new representation. The easier thing to do would have been to go find new representation. That would have been the easiest thing to do, because then new representation would have known Bo, would have known Kelly Heitkamp, would have known all these people around here, and they would have kept the facts of this case off the record. And that's what I was afraid of the most. And what I was afraid of most happening was exactly what happened. The facts of the case were not filed in a timely manner. And I believe for that reason, and I'll go show it, where if there was money laundering, which even Bo believes there was money laundering, if there was, and I presented this to him, basically he took part in it himself by not saying anything. You covered for him, Bo. And I can't let that slide. I don't appreciate that as a client of yours. I don't appreciate that as somebody that's a veteran here in East Texas, as a business owner here in East Texas. I don't care what my past is about January 6th. I don't care what my political affiliations are. If a man pays you money and you look him in the eye and you tell him you're going to do something for him, then you should do it. Because most time, if they don't, it seems like you walk all over them. You take advantage of them, and I'm not going to allow you to do that this time. So I want to get into the facts of the case. I don't want to make it seem like it's a pissing contest. It's really not that. I have to do this because this is just the right thing to do. It's morally right. It's lawfully correct, and I can back this up with the evidence. So, with that being said, I'm going to make a presentation to you now. It took me the last hour to put this presentation together. And the reason I put it together like this was to make sure that I didn't put out any sensitive information, any personal identifiable information, nothing like that. So this exhibit will be on realryannichols.com after we get off of this live video. And then I will go put more exhibits out there. But I'm going to start putting this out there to you a little piece at a time so you'll understand the context of where I'm coming from and not just think that I'm just throwing things up at the wall and see what sticks. I've had to build a case for the last year, and I had to do that when I got home, and I realized that assets, money, bank accounts, businesses, LLCs, entities had changed out of my name into I don't know whose name. But when I came home, Wholesale Universe, as I knew it, wasn't the same Wholesale Universe anymore. It had new entities. It had new DBAs. It had new bank accounts that even the other 50% owner of the company refused to allow me access to. My company refused to allow me access to. When I asked questions, I was told by men that I didn't even know until before I came home. I was told that you don't get to make these decisions anymore in business. This is our business now. And the other 50% owner and these men would sit on the other side of me. And you can imagine me coming home to what I was told was taken care of for me was not. I got home and realized that I was given access to a bank account. And I said, yeah. I said, I want access to my bank account. I'm ready to go back to work. I stayed home for about 2 to 3 weeks. We went on vacation, and I came home. And when I came home after 2 weeks, we were down there in Florida. I said I was ready to go back to work. And they said, okay. So I went in, and that's where y'all started seeing me make videos, doing a little bit of podcasting. And as I was doing podcasting, I started posting stuff on Facebook, posting stuff on YouTube. I did a live stream, and I was just taking in the warehouse. It was amazing to see, where we had been, and I envisioned this, but to finally get there, it was like oh my gosh, we did it. And I remember there was a client that was coming in, Tyler Gantz or Gatson or something like that. He was coming in. And the other 50% owner of the business let me know that this gentleman wanted to talk to me. Now, a little bit of backstory about me. I come from I spent 2.5, 3 years in solitary confinement in the DC jail. I spent a year on home confinement on an ankle monitor, and then I went to a very extremely violent prison, FCI Beaumont, in Beaumont, Texas, and knives and locks. Every day, people getting, we call it crushed, but you would get stabbed. There would be a stabbing or somebody getting hit with a lock in the head every single day going to chow, and you wondered, is that you? And that was just that. The drugs, the extortion, the violence, the killings, the gangs. It played a number on me mentally. I came home with a lot of trauma and PTSD. And so obviously within 2 to 3 weeks, I was not ready to go back to work. I wasn't. And that's something I've been very open about this entire time. And so as I was there, it wasn't until I got back to work and started trying to function in my everyday life to where I realized the trauma and the pain and the problems, the mental health problems that I had. And I've never shied away from this. I've always been very open about that. Prison is not a good place. It's a very evil place, and it didn't do any good things to me. I didn't get any favors by going to prison. It didn't make me, tougher or anything. It messes you up mentally. I would be not over exaggerating to tell you that I'm not the same person that I was 4 and 5 years ago. And so when it comes to that, the other 50% owner in the company and other people and other leadership within the company, they're not wrong. Ryan, you're having mental health crises. You're not wrong. I just came from a crazy environment. I needed some time. And I was told that they didn't have time to give me. And I needed to go get a job elsewhere. And there became a clash. And I said, no, this is my company. I built this company. When all of you men, the men that I'm addressing in court, the people that I just went to Longview Police Department and spoke about, these guys had never even thought about Wholesale Universe until the last 6 and 9 months, until I talked to them about it. My attorney, his brother, and then all of his little friends that he decided to bring in, Justin Maroney. So Joseph McBride decided to bring in his brother, Eric McBride. Eric and Joseph brought in Justin Maroney. And Eric, from what I'm seeing last year, between Eric and Joe took in somewhere between $500,000 and $700,000 from what I'm seeing right now. Now, I'm not a forensics auditor, but it looks like last year in 25, it's around 400 to 600 at least. I'm going to say low end, bare minimum, $400,000 to $600,000. Now, when I was told back in March and April that this was no longer my company to do with what I wanted, but Ryan, just stick around. You're still the 50% owner. You're still going to get paid. We're just going to run it the way that we want. You're not fit to run this company anymore. They gaslit me into believing that I was unfit to run the company, that I was crazy, that I just couldn't do it. They had me thinking that clients were upset at me, that the clients didn't like what I was saying online. And maybe that's true. Maybe some of that's true, but I would ask for specifics. Show me specific examples. If so-and-so said that about me, let me see the message then. And every time it was met with hostility. Well, we don't want to get into specifics with clients. We don't want, personal client information to be shared around. And I said, well, I'm the owner of the company. What do you mean personal client information? And these little games would go back and forth. And I started realizing what was going on is that they had made moves and were basically telling me no. And that really threw me for a loop. I didn't understand how to take that. And so I did what was asked of me at that time, because I'm like, look, I still live in a nice house. I'm still married to the other 50% owner in that company. We still have kids together. Let me just go home and figure something else out new to do. So we agreed that I would go home for 90 days, I think it was. 60 or 90 days, go home for 3 months. And at the end of 3 months, if I wanted to come back to the company or had a new plan, then I could come back. And I was like, 3 months? I just sat in a cell for 4 years. I'm not ready to sit at home again. I sat at that house on home confinement for 12 months before I went back to prison. And so I didn't want to sit in that house any longer. It reminded me, not the house in general, but if I had to stay there and was forced to stay there, that reminded me of bad times. And we were past that. I was ready to go work. Now, looking back and seeing, what happened this last year, and I saw not just myself, but many other guys go through it, I was not ready to go back to work. I'm just now starting to get in a mode where I can go back to work. My mind needed time to clear. I say prison's a bad and evil place. It's no secret. This is public and open information that I had a drug problem in prison. This is not a secret. I was very open about that with everybody within my circle, asking for help and telling them, like, this is what I'm dealing with. I no longer want to do this. I want to go this direction. And when I got out of prison that day, that was the last time that I did those things. when you get out of those environments and get away from those people, you you just don't know. I didn't know where to find it anymore because I had never been around that out here on the outside. I was only around that on the inside, and so I only knew people from the inside, and so that's what I knew when I got back out here. That's not how I acted, but the pain and the trauma was still there nonetheless. And so I sat at home for, I'm supposed to be doing that the 60 days, 90 days. And while I sat at home, I started thinking, what do I want to do? If I could start all over, what would I do if I could start all the way over? And I thought back to the same things that I thought about in the DC jail and the prison cells, on those long bus rides as I was shackled up, those nights and days and weeks that we were locked down in solitary confinement when I was in the SHU, special housing unit, or the hole. If you could start all the way over, what would you do? Well, I knew that I had served the community. I had done search and rescue. I was a Marine Corps veteran. I had done, I was a business owner and provided jobs to the community. So what else did I want to do? Well, I knew that right then I couldn't go do storms. I didn't want to see trauma like that. I had just seen people get stabbed and beaten in prison. I didn't want to see any more violence. So what could I do? Well, the next best thing that I could do to serve my country is to actually serve again, but do it the right way, and actually to right my wrongs. Now, I didn't come up with the idea for Congress. The other 50% owner in the business came up with the idea for Congress. While I was in the DC jail, the other 50% owner wanted to run for Congress. And that was discussed within the family when the other 50% owner of the business decided I can't run for Congress. It's not something I could do. It's the idea that I then took up. So this wasn't a foreign idea. This wasn't something that was never discussed before. This was something that was openly discussed, that was talked about. And so when I was told, Ryan, you can't work here at the company anymore, you must go do something else, I said, okay. And I sat and thought about it, said and thought about it, said and thought about it. And finally, I saw a post from Brian Harrison. He's a House rep here in Texas, and he's standing against all the rhinos and all the deep state actors, against Dustin Burrows and people like Jay Dean. And I saw him ask for a motion on that Texas House floor. I saw him ask for a motion to take a vote for a roll call. And then I saw Dustin Burrows slam the gavel. And in that moment, I saw the crookedness, and I said, I want to do something about this. And I decided in that moment I wanted to run for Congress. It peeled back in my mind. And I was like, what can I do right now? If I can't work in my company and go provide for my family, I don't know anything else. All I knew was selling shoes, clothing, and handbags. And I can still spit off to you how to sell shoes, clothing, and handbags to wholesalers, retailers, online, offline, Poshmark, Mercari, retail, Amazon, because that's who I am. That's what I did. And that's why I had to submit these motions, because these people took my identity from me and stripped away everything that I was. So because it started making money, because the rewards of my hard work started paying off years later like I expected them to. I knew Wholesale Universe was never a 5-year plan for me. It was never a 10-year plan for me. It was a 15 and 20-year plan for me. And these people knew this. The other 50% owner knew this. And so when I come home and Wholesale Universe Inc. isn't in business anymore because it's been changed to Wholesale Universe LLC, and the other 50% owner now owns 100% of it, and I own nothing. And that was done through my power of attorney, which I didn't give authorization for. And all the money that was going into the Wholesale Universe Incorporated bank account is now going into the Wholesale Universe LLC bank account, which I have no access to at all. That's called fraud. That's called theft. That's called money laundering. That is a felony. So to the other 50% owner in this company, I've given you every chance. Every chance. Actually, if we go back and look at the records, text messages will prove, email will prove, and bank statements will prove that I only asked for $5,000. And I said, if you give me $5,000, I'll sign the company, the house, everything over to you. I won't even fight you in the custody. I just want to see my children. I'll give everything to you. This is in writing. You don't have to take my word for it. I'm not asking you to take my word for it. I'm going to present this into motions into court. And then you can just read the black and white. Because I'm tired of arguing with people. That's why I don't argue with you. That's fine. You want to say what you want to say? That's fine. I know they're over there throwing a fit about me and they're attacking my character because that's all they've got left to do because I have the black and white. Joseph McBride has blocked me on every platform and he's never blocked anybody. He attacks everybody that comes after him, everybody, except for this time. And this time, it's because I've got you caught in a conspiracy, Joe. I've got you caught and dead to rights. So I want to go ahead and get into this. And I know I'm taking a while. It's been 20 to 30 minutes, but I needed to give you an introduction, a proper introduction at that. Not just start showing you motions that I filed into court and not just start talking about police reports, but I needed to give you some context and some background about what's going on, why it's going on, and why I was forced to do what I did. Now, $5,000 is the offer that I made. I was told to go get a job, you bum. Can't have nothing. Now, I said, look, that doesn't work for me. I need something. I'm homeless. I'm in another state. I have left you alone. You have my $1 million house, my children, my $100 million company, 75 employees, all the money, bank accounts, money transferred to different accounts, entities transferred to different, my entities transferred and our entities transferred somewhere else. You got it. Cool. I'll just give me $2,500 in, enough to pay my truck and buy some gas, and I'll sleep in the truck and I'll eat. And so I was told fine. And on September 2nd, I was given my last paycheck from Wholesale Universe for $2,500. You don't have to take my word for it. This is on bank statements. I'm putting a presentation together right now to give to you. I'm going to show you a presentation here in a minute, but I'm still putting a full one together. I'm just giving you context right now. So July 14th, 2025, I revoked my power of attorney. That was by text message, and it was received by text message. I revoked my power of attorney after it was found out that Troy Marchand had laundered or stolen $750,000 to $1.5 million from Wholesale Universe. I blew a gasket. And I said, we have got to go to the attorneys and have the attorneys do something. And so I did. I went to Joseph McBride and I said, Joe, you have to go get this guy. And Bonnie and Joe ran interference against me and said, we can't do that. Because if we do that, then it will spook the clients and it will probably collapse this company if people started pulling their money out. If they found out that Troy stole $750,000 to $1.5 million. I said, are y'all serious right now? And I was told, stand down. It was better to be quiet and eat $750,000 to $1.5 million stolen by Troy Marchand than it was to say something. And I said, I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this at all. And so time goes on. And finally, I can't take anymore. And I take off. I go see Bart. Bart's getting ready to die. He requested a couple of his Marine Corps buddies be there, especially the ones that was in the DC jail with him. I went up to see Bart before he died. And then I left right before Bart died. I didn't stay and help him pass like I wanted to, because as I'm laying by Bart's side, I just start getting a string of messages in a thread with my father about how I'm up sleeping with another woman. And so I tear off and come home. And I get back home and like, what is this? And we fight all the way home. And finally I realized that's it. Because halfway home, I started putting two and two together. And I started realizing that I was getting blamed for things that I never did. If I do something, just like in Washington, D.C. after January 6th, go look at my sentencing memorandum. I have a sentencing transcript. I took full responsibility for my actions that day. I didn't blame anybody else for what they did. I took full responsibility for what I did. Because as a man, I knew I was going to prison. I knew I might not get pardoned. A pardon wasn't even thought about at that time. I didn't care. I'm a man. I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. And I went in there and admitted my wrongdoings. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But on this, I'm not. So on the way home, I started noticing the patterns. And I started noticing that the same thing that was being said to me and forced and shoved down my throat to believe were the same things that the United States government had said to me, and the same tactics that they had used against me after January 6th, when I was sitting in the DC jail, when I was getting ready for trial, when I was getting held pre-trial in solitary confinement, tortured, abused as a pre-trial detainee. And when I realized that the same tactics that were used by the government against me were the same ones used by the ones I loved the most against me, it killed me. It crushed me. And it flipped a switch inside of me that for 6-8 months after that, y'all saw me. I lost my mind because I realized those closest to me betrayed me. The ones absolutely closest to me betrayed me. So I get home, I pack all of my stuff, and I leave. And I go to the camper and get to the camper, and we are selling a property at that point. And it's a property that her parents were staying in. She had bought her parents a property for like $250,000 or $300,000 to move from Oklahoma down here. My money and her money, our money. She bought a camper, $50,000-$80,000, our money. And I don't care if you do that for your parents. If it's our money and your parents need it, that's fine. We needed to sell the property. Sold the property. The title company and mortgage company needed my power of attorney to sell the property. They could not sell the property without my power of attorney. We had an agreement that you take 50% of the profit and I take 50% of the profit. The profit just on that property was $105,000 to $115,000 in June. It was like May or June. $105,000 to $115,000 profit on that property. We were supposed to split it. Title company calls me to get verification that I would give power of attorney. I said yes. They said okay. The money was supposed to go into the bank. Well, instead, she calls, tells them she wants the check. She goes, picks up the check, deposits it into another bank account, takes the whole thing. I don't say nothing. Now I do. I'm saying, where's my money? Like, I'd like my money. And, but at the same time, like, I realized, what are you going to do? In this whole situation, like, I knew when I came home, I wasn't in the right mind. And sometimes when you're not in the right mind, you don't know that you're not in the right mind. And I wasn't in the right mind, but I still was in the right mind enough to think through some of these situations and say, this is not correct. This is not right. And when I started calling it out, I started seeing a lot of pushback. With that being said, since then, I have had assets like Coinbase. My Coinbase account or our shared Coinbase account was wiped out of $15,000 worth of crypto. She took that. Then I had a Robinhood account that I set up when I first came home for, we put like $2,000, $2,500, something like that, $3,000 in there. I was up 45% on the year. And then in October, after I had already taken away power of attorney, I noticed that that got taken out of my name as well. So just one day I woke up and my Robinhood account is gone. My Coinbase account is gone. My business is gone. My truck is gone. I can't pay the bills. And finally, I couldn't take anymore. And she called me one day and she said, Ryan, and she was being all sweet to me. Ryan, what are you doing up there in Missouri? What are you doing? And I said, I'm up here trying to figure out what's going on. And we talked for about 2 hours. And it wasn't about until an hour and a half into 2 hours in, hour and 45 minutes, she said something. She slipped up. And I realized that I was being told something. I was being gaslit again. So I would come home and I was needed for something. And I can back that up. Fast forward a couple of months. Well, not even fast forward. I realized that I was needed. She said something along the lines of, I said, well, if you want all these things and let me come home, then I just want to come back to my home, see my kids. And she was like, whoa, we're not doing that. And I was like, whoa, after an hour and a half, been married for 10 years. And that's the response. And I realized it wasn't about that. It was about needing me there for something else. And I didn't know what it was, couldn't pinpoint it, but it scared me. It scared me really bad because I already knew about everything else that was going on. And so I sent her one final message. I said, you can't have my last name anymore. You can no longer have the last name Nichols. And you said you were going to file. Go ahead and file. This is the address that I'm going to be at. I'm blocking you. Don't ever talk to me again. And since then, I have blocked her and I've never talked to her again. I've never acknowledged her online. I've never gone and looked at her accounts. Now, since then, her and her 8 different business pages that, how do I know? Because I created them, have been on my stories, looking at my accounts. They've been reaching out to my friends, sending messages. She has trying to get a hold of me. And she's been going through the boys' phones and sending me messages. And how do I know that? Because I know how she texts versus how they text. And I've silently been sitting here building a case because what I did is I did everything the opposite of what they expected me to do. And they expected me to blow up. They expected me to act a damn fool. And the normal man would act a fool. But I knew that I could not afford to act a fool because if I did, I was going to lose everything. More than I already had. And so I sat back, got quiet, got close to God, and I built my case. And what I built proves fraud, money laundering, conspiracy to defraud me out of my company, and many, many more Texas state and federal statutes. Now, I only say this because I didn't want to go this route. She filed for divorce. She asked for full custody of the kids and put a full restraining order on me. And there's still a restraining order on me right now. Full restraining order. Haven't seen my kids in almost a year. And before that, it was almost 4 years. And I had spent almost every day with them at home. And they're using the kids against me. Now, I abided by that. Never went back to the house. Never reached back out to the children. Didn't reach back out to her. But after all this evidence has come out, I have no choice, especially after both. I'll go over that entire file here in a second. I know this is my first live video where I'm finally explaining things. You're just going to have to sit here for a second and hold on, okay? Or watch the clips that I come out with later. When I found out not only what she did, but what Bo did, I knew that I had no choice. I had to get out there and talk about it publicly. This is not just happening to me. It's happening to other people around here. And it's wrong. It's illegal. It's immoral. And it's downright evil. And it's got to stop. A divorce was filed against me. Because I didn't have counsel when the divorce was filed, there was a restraining order that was put in. Well, if you don't have counsel retained, when a divorce is filed against you, they can put a temporary restraining order on you without you even having to have a hearing. So before I even had a hearing, a temporary restraining order was put on me. I couldn't go to the business, couldn't go to the house, couldn't see my kids. We didn't even have a hearing on this. I just got a piece of paper in the mail that says you're being served. You can no longer see your family, your business, your kids, or anything. Can't touch the bank accounts. Can't do any of that. And so I'm like, what am I going to do? Well, thankfully, the good Lord was watching out for me. My mom and my daddy were watching out for me. I had some good friends that were watching out for me as well. Pete Schwartz, thank you. Scott Fairlamb, thank you. Jason and Laura Wallace, thank you. These people took care of me. They did as Christ commanded. Don and Patty Nichols, thank you. Amanda Williams, thank you. Pops and Minnie, thank you. These people took care of me. They did as Christ commanded. Unto the least of these, boy, I was going through it. I didn't even know if I was going to live. I didn't know if I was going to make it. I had everything taken from me again. The nightmare happened all over again. And I sat there and took it because I knew if I fought it, I was going to hurt my kids and the mother of my children. And I'm not trying to do that. I didn't want to do that. That's why I just left. It wasn't until January we were supposed to have mediation. And in January, into December, beginning of January, we were supposed to have mediation. It was almost like these things were planned out like this. Supposed to have mediation, and right as mediation was starting to happen, I started getting phone calls from debt collectors. And these debt collectors were saying that I owe money on the box truck and a loan and this loan and that loan and this box. I said, what? And so I started responding to these people and saying, what are you talking about? I have no idea what box truck you're talking about, what loan you're talking about, what line of credit you're talking about. And they're like, well, they're in your name, Mr. Nichols. Says it right here. I said, well, can you send me that document? They said, we sure can. And so I started getting sent documents of loans that were taken out in my name, not the company's name, not Bonnie's name, Ryan's name. And I didn't even know about it. A truck for $80,000, $90,000 signed in my name, but I didn't know about it. Not only that, it was signed in DocuSign, and the DocuSign was like done around and put onto the leasing agreement for this truck. And then instead of her signing it DocuSign too, she went and signed hers in a wet signature 2 days later, which doesn't make any sense because I'd never signed any deals before her. That doesn't make any sense. That's not my signature either. My signature's in my DocuSign right here today on how I sign, and it's how I've always signed since the Marine Corps. And so then I see, well, who notarized this? Somebody had to notarize this. And I look down, and who did I see that notarized it? Well, Michelle Warren, her sister-in-law. And I just couldn't believe it. Michelle greenlighted a fraudulent charge against me to buy a truck that I didn't agree to. Now, let's fast forward a little bit. I get that information, and I send that to Bo. And I say, Bo, this is happening. I say, these are also the things that are happening in business where my entities were changed. Money's missing. Here's the bank statements that I have to prove it. Here's this. Here's that. Bo Rogers says, yeah, there's something here. I think there's criminal wrongdoing and fraud going on. Let me subpoena Rick McMinn's office, the CPA out of Marshall. Subpoenas them. Kyle Pope craps his pants, okay? Calls me 18,000 times in 24 hours. That's when I knew you were guilty, Kyle. That's when I knew you helped him cover it up, when you couldn't stop calling me trying to explain yourself. Because an innocent man doesn't have to call 20 times and explain the books. The books are the books if they're done right, Kyle. But no, you started calling and you started talking and you started chirping. And you did this not just in front of me, you did it in front of my father. And you did it and it was recorded as well. You guys are cooked. You started telling me about how they were not doing the inventory correctly at the end of the year and how things hadn't been reconciled in 2023 and 2023 this and 2023 also happened to be the year of the books that was refused to be given to us. Bo Rogers had to go to Kelly Heitkamp 2, if not 3 times or more, demanding 2023's bank statements, tax returns, and full ledger. We want everything for 2023. And we got told, no, not giving it to you. And so Um, Bonnie told Kelly Heitkamp, no, we're not giving it to you. Kelly Heitkamp told Bo Rogers, and you can ask Don Nichols, he's a witness to this. Don Nichols was sitting in the office with me in Bo Rogers' office when he said Kelly Heitkamp told me that Bonnie misrepresented the facts to her, and she's not going to lose her law license over Bonnie lying to her, and that Bonnie's being really hostile, not giving her information, withholding bank statements, withholding data and evidence, and we're going to have to go to the judge and compel her. Somebody that's living in truth and not doing the wrong things, they don't have to hide. I willingly gave over every bank statement I had. When I was asked if I was having or if I had any relations with anybody else, I came truthful about that. When I was asked all the questions, I told that because I have nothing to hide. But I still can't get the truth from the other side. Now, not only the box truck happened, but then I started looking into things, and we got the first set of information over from Kyle Pope and Rick McMahon's office, the CPA. And come to find out, in September, I think it's either the 1st or it's later, like the 11th. Sometime asked for money in September from my company. Hey, can I get an owner's draw, an owner's paycheck? I was told, no, you can't. And then I was told, yeah, you can. $2,500 is the last one you're going to get. Now, a few days later, after they gave me my last $2,500 payment from my company and was told, go get a job, bum, Bonnie then took out a $250,000 loan in my name and never told me about it. Never told the court about it. Tried covering it up. Tried acting like it never happened. More than likely tried laundering money with it. I also found money from what I found, and this has been verified time and time again. It went tax-free to our children's bank accounts. Now, RJ and Blake have 2 bank accounts that Bonnie set up for them. From what I can see this year, anywhere between $20,000 to $70,000. It's at least 20 bare minimum. It said 70. I think it's around 40. Let's say 35. $35,000 to $40,000 Bonnie put into our 2 children's bank accounts, tax-free. And then that money shows to come out of those children's bank accounts tax-free into her bank account or other business bank accounts to fund those business bank accounts. That's money laundering. That's money laundering. And either I know you have to know that. And so to see that going on, and then that's not the only one. There's a Shopify loan. There's a Stripe loan. There's at least one box truck, if not more. And that's just what I know about. And I didn't authorize these things. In fact, a lot of these things were done after I said, I'm revoking my power of attorney. Don't do that again. So I sent in request after request after request to Bo. And I asked Bo, please send something into court. Please stop this. He assured me he was going to. I actually have a 40-minute recording that I'm going to have transcribed tomorrow. I'm going to present that as a motion into court as well. As Bo has admitted the criminal wrongdoing that Wholesale Universe and its leadership is doing. He has admitted the criminal wrongdoing up to the point that Bo Rogers himself said that Wholesale Universe needed a special master and a third-party intermediary to go in there and take over the business right now and run it because they are committing crimes, financial crimes. There is financial wrongdoing that is going done. I didn't say that. Bo Rogers said that, and it's on audio, and I have it, and I'm going to present it into court tomorrow. If y'all don't want to do the right thing, I'm going to force you to do the right thing. And January 6th, in going through the court's system there, that taught me how to play this entire thing and taught me how to go to court. And so for y'all that have been wondering, why have I been sitting quiet? This is why I've been sitting quiet. I've been building a case. Now, I'm going to get into this, and I'm going to show you. Yeah, you can tell me to grow up, and it's pathetic. But the fact of the matter is that the facts are on my side, the law's on my side, and money. has been stolen from me, laundered, crimes have been committed. And at this point, I've gone to Longview PD, and I'm also hoping that Longview PD goes past that and goes to the feds. Bo Rogers admitted that this needs to go to the feds. He admitted that this needs to go to Texas Rangers or the FBI. This is all in the recording, so you can call me pathetic if you want to. But it sounds like you're somebody that likes taking advantage of people or seeing people get taken advantage of. And if you are, I can't tell you to be a good person. I can't convince you to not want to be a piece of crap. So we're going to get into this real quick, and I'm going to go over some of these separate allegations I put on the record. So today, Bo, he withdrew from my case. And he said that he withdrew from my case because there was a breakdown in communication, and he can no longer communicate with me, and that we've had a difference of opinion, blah, 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 blah. He also said it was because of Amanda and our relationship together, and that's simply not true. And Bo Rogers has known about Amanda and my relationship since December the 22nd from her. And from me, I have text messages and emails showing February 4th to February 10th and 11th at the earliest that Bo would have known that. Now, why is this important? This is important because Bo acknowledges in those text messages and emails of the situation, acknowledges that the situation is going on, that it's already being worked out in court, and he's taking care of it. So for him to come 3 weeks later or 2 months later, after you have spent another $10,000 from both of us, and say, hey, I just did my research this week, and come to find out I can't do any more work for you. Good luck. Sorry I took your $25,000. Sorry I cashed your check for $5,000 today. Sorry. Doesn't work like that, Bo. Unfortunately for you, you have found the one person that is willing to take it all the way with you. And let's go into this right now. So I took the motion and I wrote a response motion, and this is what happened. Today I filed the motion. Bo filed the motion to withdraw, and I filed an objection and declaration, and I also filed exhibits, and then and deadlines were also set with Bo. Now let me explain to you the deadline situation that happened. Bo Rogers waited until Friday to put this into court, or Thursday evening to put this into court. And Friday, I received an email about these orders that are put in. Now, Bo just got done telling me and my father, Don Nichols, as we were in his office a couple weeks ago, that Judge Morin's caseload and case docket is so filled up that it takes 30 to 45 days to get something put on his docket. Well, Bo miraculously pulled some strings and was able to get that done by next Tuesday to Wednesday, Thursday, to where we have to have exhibits and motions and everything finalized and put in over the next 2 to 3 days. Everything has to be done. 2 to 4 days and everything has to be done. Well, that was done in an attempt to not let me reply and not let me go find counsel to reply. But what Bo wasn't expecting is that I was over here acting on my own behalf as well, because I feared that somebody like him would do exactly as he did. And so I started preparing my own motions, my own case. And when Bo did this today, I was ready and I filed a response motion. And so my response motion, Bo asked the court to let him know there were irreconcilable professional considerations, and he required withdrawal, said the communication had been broken down, and said the client file would be delivered after an entry of order. All right. And so I will have all of this put on the website later for you to go over and look at in full. Let's go over to the next page, though. Come on. There we go. So I wrote my own motion back, and I submitted that motion today, and I objected to withdrawal at that stage. I said, we need a hearing on this because I object to you withdrawing after you take $10,000. You know I don't have any more money. You acknowledged that on audio file, and you told me, don't worry, if I have any questions, come back and see you and you'll take care of it. That's not what you did. Less than 48 hours later, you cashed the $5,000 check, and the same day you said that you can no longer help me and serve as my attorney. So I asked today for the court to give me a 30-day continuance so I could gather all the facts, the evidence, the data, and get my case ready to present in 30 days. I gave notice that I would appear pro se unless a substitute counsel appeared. If I find an attorney by then that will take on the case, great. If not, I'm going to do it myself because I know this case. There's not an attorney that knows this business better than me. I'm studying the law, and I know in a sense what can and can't be done. Other part is we have softwares. We have ChatGPT. We have Claude. We have Grok. Look, the law is at your dispense to use as well. The attorneys are not the only ones with bookshelves up like you see behind me in their office that can get this stuff done. You can get it done using AI, and I'm going to teach you how to do it, and that's exactly how I've been doing this as well. And I'm going to show you all these declarations in this full motion. I'm going to put it on my website, but I just wanted to give a brief summary here. All right, so I asked for transition orders, a complete file, billing and trust accounting, and a written deadlines and setting discovery list. My declaration says I stayed in active communication and kept sending evidence in January and February 2026, which I did. So why I need a continuance and why that's necessary. So there's material inconsistencies with Bo's claims that I stopped communicating and what actually shows in the evidence and in the emails and text message chain. So in the emails and text message chain, you can clearly see that we had communication, and I've added a couple examples in here. In the motion, there are like 18, 25 exhibits. There's 49 pages. It's a very long motion and it's a very long exhibit. Motion is 4 pages. Declaration is 1 page. Exhibits are 49 pages. And the night before mediation on January 12th and 13th, there was like 150 documents that Kelly Heitkamp sent over to us, and they tried to bury me in evidence the night before. And what they tried burying me in, I found, was receipts. They were contracts for entity changes. They were contracts for Bonnie to sell off 12.5% of companies with Troy Marchand. They tried to sneak this stuff in on me at the last minute. And then what they wanted to do is take me into mediation. They then wanted to get me flustered, put a check in front of me for $100,000, $50,000, $20,000, tell me to sign the divorce and take it. And that was going to be my payday. And then I was going to be stuck holding the bag for all these loans and these trucks that these bill collectors started coming after me for. And I found all of this not until January. And some of this stuff I didn't find until 3 and 4 days ago. I'm still finding evidence now. So after the motion was filed, the court set a fast pre-hearing schedule. My response argues that denying a short continuance would materially prejudice my ability to defend myself. So there's the exchange of exhibits that are supposed to be done on Tuesday, March the 10th at 5 p.m. or by 5 p.m. Same with the witness notice, and the exhibits to court are supposed to be done by March the 11th at 5 p.m. Thursday, March 12th at 3:30, there's supposed to be a hearing on the withdrawal. Now, I'm not going to give away my strategy going inside of here. That is the strategy for going inside a court. But I will let you know that I do plan on getting up and addressing the court. Well, and it's not going to be in person. It's by Zoom. And so for some reason, the court decided that it was just best to do it by Zoom instead of having me walk in the courtroom. And I don't understand that either. And I'll have to make an objection to that as well. And I fully plan on objecting to that. So next one is my filing stated on March 4th, 2026. I reported suspected unauthorized debentures and related financial irregularities to Longview Police Department. My declaration also references preserved audio of my final conference with formal counsel. My response says I had also assembled supporting financial records and an investigator packet, and these were presented as reported concerns and supported context, not as adjudicated findings. So here's some of the declarations that you can see that I made. I asked Bo Rogers Law Firm and Bo to go to the court and put this on the record, ask the judge to stop this many, many times. And because these facts are being misrepresented about me, I have no choice but to go into court and put these on the record and have a hearing. And if the judge rules against me, he rules against me. But and I'll respect the judge's decision. Whatever Judge Morin decides, I'm going to honor. If we decide to appeal it, we'll appeal it. But whatever Judge Morin rules, I'm going to respect that. Okay? And I just want my day in court. And Bo has tried to deny me that, and I plan on putting that on the record, and that's all I can do, and that's all I want, is it on the record. I want to win, but I want it on the record. All right? So what this public version does and does not show. Now, you're asking, like, Ryan, what is this? This deck is built for public sharing, okay, but only in a only in a careful, redacted way. Summarized filed motions, declarations, hearing orders, and attached communications, it gives those. It shows why I objected to withdrawal and asked for time to defend myself pro se. It keeps the focus on dates, direct quotes, and documented backed points. It does not publish addresses, phone calls, and emails, children's details, Zoom access, banking data, or medical records. It does not dispute proven facts. It doesn't. It does not ask the audience to rely on anything outside of the records shown here. And I'm not asking you to. Like I said, more will be posted on realryannichols.com. I have to be careful how I do this. And I know that y'all know this. And so if you're somebody that's goading me into, come on, show more, I'm not going to do that right now. I have to be careful and selective how I do this because there are major financial crimes that have been committed by these people. And because they're major financial crimes, I fully expect at some point somebody's going to get arrested. There is going to be a complaint, an arrest warrant that will come down the pipeline for somebody. And it's not going to be me because I had nothing to do with it. They tried to make me complicit for it. And I went in and did the right thing and took it to the law. So for those of you that have been wondering what happened to Ryan, Ryan got Steve Jobs out of his own business by the people that loved him or that he thought that loved him, that were closest to him. I trusted people. I gave them a power of attorney. And where I messed up was not coming home immediately and taking that power of attorney and taking back control of my business and what was mine. I trusted and let them keep running it, thinking they were doing the right thing. Listened to them tell me that I was crazy and needed to go over here and mind my business. And in doing so, millions of dollars were laundered. And like I said, it's a god-awful amount of evidence that I've had to go through and parse through months and months and weeks on end. And there's days that I've just spent in here going through it, putting it through softwares and running it against this, against that. And I found it. I found it all. So that's what's going on with this case. Bo Rogers, I'm going to challenge you in court. Look, I know you're connected around here. You have your political connections. Jay Dean, Congressman Moran, your daughter worked for Jay Dean, communications intern or something like that. I get it. But you had a duty to take care of me, not your friends, not your daughter's boss. You had a duty as an attorney, a fiduciary duty to take care of me and to take care of Amanda. And here's the thing. If you could no longer represent me, you could have still easily represented her. But she has been left without a house going through what she's going through. I've been left without a home, truck, bank account, money with what I've been going through, and you allowed it to happen. You knew about these things, and you knowingly and willingly allowed them to go on. And so, one, I don't think that you should be able to practice law if that's how you operate, because I'm not the only one that this is happening to, Bo. I'm getting messages from other people that this is happening to. And I can believe them at this point because it happened to me. Now, I might be a one-off scenario. I know people around here don't like me specifically for my politics. And I know some people don't like me because they see my face too much on social media. That's fine. You as an attorney are supposed to be able to get past that. You're held to a higher duty and responsibility among the people. Like I said, that's a fiduciary duty. And if you don't know what that is, you should go look it up. But you're supposed to be held to a higher duty and a higher responsibility as an attorney. And you have knowingly and willfully and willingly gone out there and hurt me and Amanda and other people. And I don't appreciate that, especially because she's pregnant. You know she's pregnant. And you just took my money and her money, knowing it was the last money that we had, and you left us high and dry. And to me, Bo, that's the same as being a thief. And what's worse is it was my parents' money. I didn't have any money. I had to go ask my parents to borrow some money. They went and took out that money against my inheritance. That was really all the money I had left. That was it. That was my inheritance. This is why I have to take this to court. You took my inheritance because of my political beliefs and the things that I had to say on Facebook. That's not what an attorney's supposed to do. I have to challenge that in court. And I also have to inspire other people to do the same. And when y'all figure out how easy it really is to put motions into court and defend yourself using the technology we have today, you might not go waste any more money on an attorney, especially one like Bo Rogers, who will just steal it. And that's what you did, Bo. So I cannot wait for my day in court next week. I've been waiting on my day in court for years because I didn't get one for January 6th. I got railroaded. I got railroaded when I first came home on a situation. I got railroaded on this situation right here this entire time. And I plan on making it stop, even if I have to defend myself as my own attorney, because the facts support me. Anyways, y'all have a great night, and I'll be back on here at another time. Look, if you get a chance, I need some help. Support my cause. All right. You can scan the QR code, take a screenshot, and you get $5, $10, $50, $100, whatever you helps me secure legal victories. This money is going to be going towards lawsuits. It's going to be going towards investigations, and I'm going to give an accounting for all the money. Right now, I've raised $150 at this link right here. You can go to it and see I've raised $150. The first $405 that I raise is going to go towards filing a federal civil rights lawsuit against Jay Dean for violating my civil rights by blocking me off the official government Facebook page on his social media channel, the Rep Jay Dean Facebook page. He blocked me off of that in violation of Linked versus Freed 2024. And I plan on suing him for that. And if you want to see me sue him for that and want to see this process speed up, you can go right there below to that QR code, click on it, and anything you give, I'll be greatly appreciative for. Please share this stream.